everyone. We're going to get started now. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Molly Farraher, and I'm the project coordinator at IBPA. I wanted to welcome you all to today's webinar, which is entitled Raising Funds for Your Publishing Project with Crowdfunding. Some quick webinar guidelines. Today's session is being recorded, and a downloadable copy will be made available to everyone by the end of the week. Additionally, all phone lines are muted. Lastly, Amanda will be answering questions throughout the presentation. You can ask a question by using the chat box to the right of your screen. Now I would like to introduce our speaker, Amanda Barbara. Amanda is the Vice President and co-founder of Pubslush, a pre-publication platform that allows authors and publishers to raise funds and/or collect pre-orders while implementing branding and marketing strategies. We are so excited to have Amanda presenting for us today. So thank you, Amanda. And now I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today for this webinar about crowdfunding for publishers. As Molly said, my name is Amanda Barbara. I'm the Vice President and co-founder of Pubslush, and you can see my email there for any questions we might have after the webinar is over, and I'll reiterate it at the end. I always like to get started when I start these webinars by just telling everyone what crowdfunding is and giving you guys a definition and some basis before we even get started. So crowdfunding is essentially the funding of a project or venture by raising small amounts of money from large number of people. So what does that essentially mean? In this case, we're going to be really targeted on reward-based crowdfunding today. Reward-based crowdfunding is where someone gives you, let's just say, for example, in this case, we're going to be talking about crowdfunding for the literary world. So $20 for a copy of the print book. You are not just getting a donation from these people. You're not asking them for money. You're asking them for pre-support. And you're in the hopes of getting a large amount of people to give you that, let's just say that $20 to be able to get to your ultimate goal of being able to publish a book. Websites that you might be familiar of right now are sites like Kickstarter, Indiegogo. They provide a platform for anyone to raise funds for any type of project. So let's just say a fashion line, a new gadget, a new entrepreneurial adventure, things like along those lines, any type of project. The most recent, as you guys have seen, the potato salad, people raising money to make potato salad, things like that you can find. And Pubslush, my company, is really more optimized for authors, publishers, and the literary world. So just some quick facts about crowdfunding. And like Molly said, you guys will have all these slides after the presentation. But what we're seeing as an industry whole perspective is that the average successful crowdfunding campaign averages around $7,000. That's a decent amount of funds that can go towards publishing a book. The crowdfunding as an industry has raised about $2.66 billion in 2012, which was up from $1.47 billion in 2011. And it hit 5.1 at the close of this year. So as you see, the projections are continuing to grow, and doubling, if not projected to quadruple by the end of 2014. There's more than 1 million successful campaigns that were run through crowdfunding portals in 2012. And not only is crowdfunding taking off here in the U.S., but it also has globally risen at 81% in 2012, which is huge. We're really excited to say that if a campaign does hit about 30% of their goal within the first week or so, they're more likely to hit that 100% funded goal. So it's really important, which we'll get into later in the slides, being prepared when you do launch and getting that momentum right out of the gate to be able to hit that 30% of your goal. So I wanted to we want to give you guys a full education of what crowdfunding portals are out there for you. So I wanted to kind of give you an overview of the other two big hubs out there, Kickstarter being one of them. Like I mentioned before, Kickstarter isn't any type of project platform. They have, somewhere close to 200,000 projects running at one time. So definitely an overwhelming place to have your book project. But they've been around for a little over 7 years now. And they have a fixed funding model. So what that means is fixed funding, if you set your goal at $10,000, and if you don't make $10,000, none of your supporters get charged and you make none of the money you raised so far. So let's just say, for example, you hit $8,000, you were $2,000 away, you don't receive any of that funding. And they have a 5% platform fee. And they actually use Amazon payment processing systems. So that is actually a 4% fee. So it comes out to around 9%. At the end. You must have an Amazon account to be able to pay with Kickstarter. Kickstarter is an amazing platform. They've brought so many great projects to life. So that's some information on about them. Indiegogo is similar to Kickstarter in that they accept any type of campaign. They have two different funding models, so this is something that everyone should know about. They do have that fixed model that we just talked about, similar to Kickstarter, for a 4% fee, so a bit less. And they also have a flex funding option. So what the flex funding option is you can set your goal. Let's just say we'll go back to that $10,000 number, and let's say you don't make it, you hit $5,000. They will actually charge you 9% if you do not make your goal. But if you do reach your goal in the flex funding model, you still only get charged that 4%. And their processing fees is 3.5%. They use PayPal. So it comes out to, if you do the 4%, if you reach your goal, it comes out to a little over 7.5%. And then if you do make your goal, if you don't make your goal and you get charged the 9%, it gets a little closer to 14% of your goal. At Pubslush, we are a literary project platform, so really targeted for the publishing and literary world. When we started, we were books only, really targeted more for self-publishers, and as we've evolved, we've really opened our doors to be able to help not only self-published authors, but also publishers, indie publishers, traditional publishers, agents, editors, anyone that works with an author that might have some type of problem with funding. And we've also opened our doors to any type of literary project in regards to educational projects. Some of our authors have raised money for their imprints or their business model that fall into the publishing world. And we're seeing, people raising money also for audiobooks, book tours, maybe a new release of a book, things along that nature. So our funding model is flexible as well, but it's also a little bit different than Indiegogo. We allow you to set a minimum and a maximum goal. So we require that minimum to be at least $500. So you can set as low as $500, and you can say, my minimum is $500 and my maximum is $10,000. As long as you make over that minimum of $500, you get to keep anything after that for a 4% platform fee. And our credit card processing fee is 3.5%. So it comes out around to about 7%, which is comparable to Indiegogo in their fixed model funding. So crowdfunding for publishers, many of you on the line today are publishers, so we wanted to be a little bit more specific to you guys. And why would you even consider crowdfunding for your business? So we wanted to go over some really crucial points. The most obvious is, of course, raising funds for publishing costs and mitigating financial risk. We have over 100 publishers that use the Pubslush platform and have publisher pages with us. And a lot of them are able to test the water for books that maybe they weren't sure they'd be able to publish otherwise. So they're able to have that author prove the market viability of their book. And as I said, test the market, see if there's, if they have a following, if they can sell copies of their book in a pre-order type of manner. Crowdfunding is an amazing way to collect pre-orders because essentially a lot of your rewards will be, an ebook or a print book. So it's a nice way to be able to get your book in the hands of readers in advance, which will help secure reviews once the book is fully published. It's great to be able to drive traffic to books before publication and really create that buzz and that momentum. We see that a lot of the authors or publishers that, that meet that 30% and get that, that momentum going, the shareability and discoverability is really high. And we'll go into that a little bit more in detail in the next slide. But as many of you know, creating a buzz around a book is really crucial and essential, and crowdfunding really helps to catapult those efforts and really give you a place to call your own. So, for example, an author on their book page can have things like their social media links, their website, the title, an image, and a video that's optional. They can have the summary of their upcoming book and also an excerpt of that book. So it's a really all-encompassing page that not only showcases the upcoming title, but also really connects the reader to the author and gives them some insight on and some background on who they are and what they're all about. Another great thing is the market analytics that you receive at the end of a campaign. Not only do you have, pre-orders, how many readers are interested before you hit publication date, but you also have some analytics behind those readers. So not only who are they, Pubslush actually lets you export your reader data, so the names and emails of who supported this book, but also a breakdown of the analytics of by gender, age, and location, and also where they found your book. So let's just say you had a great blog post that ran for your author, and the blog's very popular. You can actually track how many people clicked the link in support of the book from that blog post, so you can see where most of your traffic is coming, what works and what's not working. If you're paying for marketing or paying for advertising, it's nice to know what your return rate is on that. So those are all great features and why publishers should definitely keep crowdfunding in mind. Crowdfunding is part of a book marketing plan. We've been meeting with a lot of great, publicity firms and marketing firms that are specific to books that really follow a very, strategic plan when trying to market an upcoming title. So, we really feel that crowdfunding especially will be a part of that marketing plan, because a lot of the tips for marketing crowdfunding encompasses, like collecting pre-orders and building a buzz around your book, but also creating, like I said, this landing page to drive traffic to. So if you don't have pre-orders on Amazon, or if you don't have pre-orders on your own website, it's a great way to not only have a page dedicated to the book, like I mentioned before, but also to the author. Also, these books would also live on your publisher page, which we'll get into more detail, as I said, in a later slide. But it's a great way to showcase all of the authors you're currently publishing, and a great way to have an all-encompassing place to showcase not only books that are currently in pre-order, but also books that have pre-ordered in the past and now available for sale. So it's a mini, bookshelf portfolio for a publishing house. It's really great to be able to grow and engage with your audience. This, like I said, you'll have a lot of reader data that you can use to actually help catapult authors that may not have any fan base so far. You may be able to reach out to these readers for an upcoming book, which is really great to help share readership between your authors. We're finding that a lot of readers are sharing, or they're promoted to share after they support a book, to share it on social media, such as LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. So there's a little bit of a disconnect when you purchase a book on Amazon. They don't prompt you to share the purchase on Twitter, and even so, you probably wouldn't want to tell people that you just bought a new book on Amazon. But this is more of a way of supporting an author pre-publication. So we're finding that the shareability is very high, and also another great tool is that because this page is a pre-order page, let's just say, for argument's sake, a 30-day page, you do pre-orders for 30 days. That page stays up, live, and active forever. And the author or the publisher is actually able to come back and insert their buy link wherever the book is being sold. So if it's being sold on Amazon after the 30 days, if a reader discovers your author's book next year, they can click on the button and make the purchase. So the discoverability, it doesn't end after 30 days. It just continues. And strategically using key supporters to expand your network. So we really plan with our publishers and our authors to use the networks that they already have. Let's say that they can name, 20 readers that they know will definitely want to pre-order their book. Using those 20 readers and using their network to continue to expand your reach. And like we said, using social media, using email templates, and these are all things that we help put in place in the marketing plan. Sorry, guys. Is crowdfunding right for your authors? This is a great question that all of our publishers have to ask themselves. It's right for some and not right for others. So you do need to ask yourself, is there a network already built in for this author? Do they have an email list? Do they have any contacts? Who will they be marketing their book to? And a lot of that does have to do with a social media presence. Do they have Twitter? Do they have Facebook? Have they created a LinkedIn? And if you answer no to all three of those questions, that doesn't mean that crowdfunding isn't right for you. It might just be a bit harder getting those people to discover your page. But we educate all of our authors to treat their book like their business. Get out there, be an entrepreneur, come up with ideas that are creative and innovative and that will entice people that maybe they won't, select the support button and give you the $20, but maybe they'll check it out and now they see your upcoming title name, they're intrigued. Maybe they bookmark it, maybe they come back and check it out when it's closer to the publication date. But it's also going to the treating your book like your business. It's also the willingness to ask for support. We had an author about a year ago that used Pubslush for a children's book. This children's book the graphics were amazing. The illustrations were amazing. The storyline was great. It was all around it was a holiday book for kids. And the gentleman was sitting at zero. We could not get any pre-orders, and we couldn't understand it because the book looked so great. We reached out to him and we asked him, what was he doing? What was his marketing plan? What had he done already? What was working for him? What wasn't? And he said that he hadn't asked one person to pre-order his book because he felt intimidated. He felt bad asking for money. So we really helped him come up with ideas that would give back to his community. He was a Lutheran minister. We came up with ideas that would he didn't have to ask for money, he was asking for support. And once he took the ideas that we gave him, he was able to raise over $3,000 in 24 hours. because he took those ideas and he was able to market his book in a way that didn't seem that he was asking people for nothing more than support to publish his book. So it's definitely the way you position the message and knowing who your audience is, to making sure that the right message is being sent out in a way that's positive and makes them not only click the link but also want a copy of the book. But a marketing plan is super crucial. We find that the authors that have a pre-campaign marketing plan in place before they launch their Pubslush campaign they're more successful because they have everything in place. They have tweets lined up, Facebook posts, blog posts. They have email templates ready. Maybe they secured a few blog features on different bloggers maybe in their genre or someone that has already an audience built in that they can use to get their message out. So being organized and being strategic in your plan will help you further your success, not only in crowdfunding, but also when you publish your book. It's creating that momentum before publication that we see to be successful. And, of course, a passion for the project. We see authors that sit at zero day in and day out, and when we reach out to them, they just think that people will come. It's like I always use the example of if you have a storefront but the door's closed and the lights are off, will anyone come in? You have to act as though people need to know that this place is here, that this book is here, that this page is here. So you need to it's your responsibility as the author, and hopefully, with a great publisher to assist you to get your message out there, to come up with a way to be able to send your page out to people and enticing enough to have them actually click and check it out. So these are all things that we ask our authors or our publishers before they kick off their project. So how authors should prepare for a campaign. We just went into developing a marketing plan and how crucial that is. We also really encourage that you have, 5 to 10 initial supporters that you can send, I always say a small, short beta launch of your project. So you don't want to blast it out to your 1,000 email contacts while it's still sitting at zero. You want to get that momentum started. No one wants to be a part of something that's failing. So if you can get, $100, $500 a day out already, when you do blast out to those 1,000 contacts, you will have the support that you need to really get the ball rolling, to get that initial buzz going. Making organic connections prior to campaign launch. So what that really means for an author specifically is, what have you done to really target your audience and make connections so people will buy that book? Maybe it's going to a conference. Maybe it's attending a workshop in your area. Maybe it's just being a part of IBPA and learning how you can use these tools and implement them. But also, don't wait until the book is published to start telling everyone about it. You want people to be a part of the journey with you, and that's really what crowdfunding also enables you to do. It enables you to take them along the journey with you, let them be a part of the process. Maybe halfway through your Pubslush campaign, your cover design is finalized. This is a great opportunity to send it to your readers and get their feedback and get them back into the process with you. So it's crucial to know your audience and know if you have a niche of some sort. I met with a gentleman yesterday who will be using Pubslush, and he has essentially a how-to book of quitting. He quits smoking cigarettes, but it's really not just about cigarette smoking. It's, maybe how to quit a relationship that isn't healthy, or how to quit your job, or things along those lines. So he has a very target niche of who he wants to attract, how he wants to get his message out there. So having a plan in place is really crucial, and knowing who your ideal audience is great. I mentioned bloggers before. It's such a great resource to utilize. Researching bloggers that talk about topic. Maybe your book is targeted towards, women in their, 30s and 40s. So there's a lot of bloggers that have audiences already built in, and they might love to showcase. Maybe you also want to incorporate a giveaway of your book, an e-copy of your book, and that'll get the buzz going. And if anyone doesn't win, you can circle back and say, I'm sorry you didn't win my free copy, but you can purchase a copy here and send them to your campaign or your Amazon or Barnes & Noble Kobo page, things along those lines. So it's important to entice and get your book out there in a way that people will be interested and people will want to learn more. And also connecting with organizations that might be interested in your book. We had an author on Pubslush that her book was very targeted towards the TBI community, traumatic brain injury. So she went around and connected with not only local TBI organizations, so she was from Pittsburgh but lived in New York, was currently living in Brooklyn. She had gone to college in another city. She contacted all the northeast chapters of the TBI community, told them about her book, and saw if they could really get behind her. If they could promote her in any way, maybe they would send out a tweet on her behalf, maybe they would include her in a newsletter, but if you don't ask, you have no idea if you will be able to receive. And she was actually able to get a lot of support from the national TBI community that really blasted out her book, and she was able to raise over $15,000 on Pubslush from that support. So it's good to, identify if there is maybe an organization, a cause. I met an author that her book was really related to PETA, so she connected with them. So these are just different ideas. Some of them may apply to you, some of them might not. You might have a chick lit book that none of these ideas apply. So there might be other ideas that could be beneficial to you. So building rewards. That's what I mentioned before, that Pubslush, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, these platforms are reward-based, meaning not donation. They're not giving you money and getting nothing in return. You're building in enticing rewards to get people interested. So if you, like I mentioned before, you give $20, you get a copy of my print book. So creating enticing rewards is something really, a place where an author and a publisher can be really creative and out of the box and offering something that they can't necessarily get in a bookstore or get on Amazon. So this is a nice opportunity where if the author, like I mentioned before, that author that did the traumatic brain injury book, she was also a yoga teacher. So she offered for a higher level. They got a copy of her book. They were subscribed to her newsletter. They got all these different things, and then also they got a half an hour private yoga session with her if they lived in the Brooklyn or New York area. So she incorporated something that she could give back that was related to her book, that she was able to contribute to her supporters if they wanted to give it a higher level. So, but it is important to offer a range. You don't want to just say, okay, $10, $20, $50, that's it. There might be people that come to your page and maybe they're not really interested in reading your book, but they want to help you out. So maybe you create a reward level at the $5 level that just says, a personalized email thanking you for your support. We had one of our authors, Angela Miller, she just did, for $1, every dollar counts. Thanks for your support. So she didn't have a lot of people only giving $1, but it was there for the people that might not be able to give a whole lot, but still want to be a part of her message and really support her. So really being unique and personal, or using personal and professional skills. We had an author, Beth Justino, who also runs an editorial service. So she was able to actually create levels that incorporated her business model. So you got a copy of her book and you got a 30-minute consultation with her. So she was able to actually market this to her clients, saying, okay, you can get this for me for X dollar, but you could save 20% and get a copy of my book if you do it through my Pubslush page. Signed copies. Maybe we had an author that had, memorabilia that was in his book that he created for his campaign that his readers asked him for. But make sure you're providing value. You don't want to create a reward out of your mind and not have anyone to market it to. Know who your audience is and know who you're marketing to. If you have, 10 people that would really love a dinner with the author because they've expressed interest, then definitely that's something you would definitely add. Or maybe we're having an author come on Pubslush. She's having a launch party for her book, and she's inviting people for free. But there might be people that want to purchase a ticket to come. So she's building that into her rewards as well. We've seen guerrilla rewards be really successful on Pubslush. So maybe you offer the first 50 copies of the print book at $15, and then the next 50 at $20, and the next 50 at $25. You create a sense of immediacy. You create a sense of get it now while it's still at this low price. And it makes people excited. It makes people want to share it more. It makes people feel like they're a part of the movement. And ensure your rewards are cost effective. We've had authors in the past that have charged, $10 for their print book, and then they've printed it and shipped it and signed it, and then they realize all that $10 is lost because they didn't really budget. So making sure you know what your costs are. If you have 10 different reward levels, how much is each one going to cost you to fill, and then how much do you want to walk away with? So, we usually say about 40%. So if your book costs you $7 to print and ship, you should maybe put that at, somewhere around the $15 mark. So you're making some money to put towards, your publication costs. So this whole webinar was really about crowdfunding specifically and why I think authors and publishers might think it's interesting and want to use it. But I definitely wanted to just tell you guys a bit more about our Pubslush publisher pages because it's something that we offer. We offer a discount for premium upgrades for your member benefits. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about it. The Pubslush publisher pages are branded and customized pages for publishers. So what that means is that they have your logo, they have a blurb about your business or your publishing house, they have your social media links, your website. They have an ability for readers to actually join your page and become a fan. So you're able to actually see the readers that like your books, and this is a database that you can use to share new books with them. There's also an engage wall, so you're actually able to share comments with readers and authors. An author can post on an engage wall maybe a question about their book, or maybe the publisher has, a great special running on a title that they published last year, 10% off, things like that. You can blast it out to your readers that way. And this is a great way, like I mentioned before, it allows your authors to share readership. So if you're, in the process of running, 5 pre-order campaigns with Pubslush, and each one of them, maybe you are a niche publisher, maybe all the books you publish are sci-fi. Each author will be bringing their own readers that they, maybe that they become fans of through the years, through social media, maybe their friends and their family, but these readers might be really dedicated sci-fi readers. So they might be looking for not just one title to read, but they might peruse your other few titles while they're on your page. So it's a great way for not only authors to gain more readership, but also for a publisher to be able to get more readership for their authors. And we're really trying to build a sense of brand loyalty here in a way that a reader might come back and check out other books by that publisher if they enjoyed the first 1 or 2 that they pre-ordered on Pubslush. Of course, also driving traffic to books for sale. So that's what I mentioned earlier about not only are you able to do the pre-orders, but you also can leave that page live, up, and active, and it would go into a tab called Books for Sale on your publisher page. So now maybe you have a reader that comes on and supports, their Uncle Henry for a new book that's coming out. But maybe they want to actually buy a book right away to read for an upcoming vacation. They'll be able to check out all your books for sale that have used the Pubslush portal. It's a great way, again, to make more sales for your authors to gain more readers. And there's also a premium upgrade option. So these pages are, they're pretty customizable, but you can actually upgrade to a premium option that will let you customize the page in regards to coloring. You can change the colors to maybe we work with Lulu.com, and their colors are like orange and blue, so they were able to change all the pages and all the fonts and things like that to really look more like their website. So it gives you more of a personal feel with your reader. So this is a sample. This is a sample of what a publisher page looks like. This is Wise and Creative Publishing. They've actually branded this to grays because their colors are black, white, and gray. So as you can see, they had a little blurb about who they are, what they do. There's actually a snapshot from my development director. She's actually a part of this community, so she can start a conversation. She can check out their books for sale. She can check out the engage wall. And they actually have, if there are any current campaigns running on this page, there would be a little tab here as well that says current campaigns. So you'd be able to check out and, go back and forth to see, if you want to see which ones have already been successful, which ones are for sale, and which ones are currently crowdfunding with us. So thank you everyone for joining. I know we have a ton of questions, so we're going to take some time to answer those. But these are some links for you guys. We also have a promo code we're giving out today if you want to receive. We have a 30-page guide to tips for successful crowdfunding. If you use the promo code IBPA, you'll get that right after you sign up. And that's not only a tool for successful crowdfunding, but it also has great marketing and social media tips that you can share with your authors that we've seen to be super successful for crowdfunding, but also for publishing. And then the member benefit I talked about earlier, to start a publisher page with Pubslush is completely free. But if you did want to upgrade to a premium page, the normal cost for anyone else, any other publisher, is $250. So for this year, it's your member benefit. If you put in the code IBPA, you'll receive $50 off the premium publisher page. So we're really excited about offering this exclusively to IBPA members and really getting you guys off the ground if anyone's interested in learning more about crowdfunding.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. And this member benefit is outlined in the Membership Benefits Handbook, which you all were sent this Monday, actually by Terry Nathan, and then I'm going to be sending you all another copy after today's webinar, and it details this member benefit. But like Amanda said, you do get $50 off on a premium publisher page, which is an excellent benefit of membership. So did you want to address some of the questions now, Amanda?
Yeah, of course. I'm going through the questions tab. The first one I see here, aside from audio questions, was from Irving Cohen. It is not true that Kickstarter is for everyone. Last year we were deciding whether to go POD or offset on a Spanish edition for Spanish speakers in the U.S. A book on diet, health, and diabetes. We went through all the steps to set up the Kickstarter and Amazon accounts, which took a few weeks while Amazon verified bank accounts. When we then went to set up the campaign, Kickstarter rejected it because the topic had to do with diet, which is an automatic reject list. Be aware of the possibility before wasting your time. This is very true, Irving. Since then, in the last 3 months, they've actually opened up their doors to any type of project. So this is probably true when you guys were submitting, for sure. But as of today, they will accept any project. There's no restrictions any longer. Thanks for your input. With all of those, how do you get people to browse Pubslush? This is by Elena Zucker. Asked, how do you get people to browse Pubslush? So many different ways. We are very active on all of our social media channels, both myself, my development director, Justine, and our president, my mom, Helen Barbara. We are out there writing articles. We are out there speaking. I was actually at the IBPA conference this year, met some of you there. Being able to not only educate people on crowdfunding, but, like we talked today, what options are out there and why this might be a good fit. We also have a very strong team, author relations team that, reaches out to authors. But we also are getting a lot of organic, just foot traffic to the site. A lot of authors, like I mentioned before, they bring their readership, and these readers are coming back and supporting projects of people they don't know, which is also really exciting. And, as I mentioned before, this is not a place where if you put your book up and you do nothing, don't expect to make, $10,000 like some of our other authors. It does take a lot of work. You do have to create your own momentum. I always say I could give 10 people the same exact plan. 5 could do amazing and succeed, and 5 could fail. It all just depends on where your starting point is. If you execute and put these marketing tips in place, it depends on the project. It depends if you have a video. It depends on the image. So there are a lot of things that come in part to success. So it does depend on the projects, and that's something we can talk about further, Melina. But she says, do you charge publishers for helping to create a post for crowdfunding? We don't charge publishers ever. Unless they want a premium page upgrade, which I mentioned, which is $250, and we're offering $50 off. To create a page for your author is completely free. Like I mentioned before, we only take 4% if they're successful. But the whole program is completely free. So it's free to set up your free page. It's free to kick off an author on your page. It's free to put your buy links in, completely no cost to the publisher. Elena said, if I, as a publisher, decide to use Pubslush to get investments for my next project, is there a fee other than the 4% mentioned to help with the promo copy to launch a good post? So we do things like this all the time, webinars and such, to help educate not only publishers but authors and agents and things along those lines. We do offer a completely optional Pubslush prep program, and I can send a link out to that to you guys for that as well. It's just pubslush.com/prep. I actually will write it in here for you so you guys can check it out. This is something we offer our authors or publishers if they do want some extra help on learning how to use Pubslush, on creating those posts, on creating a marketing plan, on creating a social media plan. There's all different levels. It's just an additional optional service that we offer. So that's something I think, Alina, that you're mentioning. If you wanted us to help you create, a social media plan, like sample tweets and sample Facebook posts, if you want us to help you create an email template to send out, and we can also help you target what time of day is good to send out email. I don't ever recommend sending out any emails on Fridays because people are not really reading them. Maybe they're not in the office. So we do things like that. to really help you navigate not only, the crowdfunding process, but also, the pre-publication process. Kevin Gerard said, show an example. I'm not sure what type of example. I showed a publisher page. If you are looking for more examples of successful projects, if you head over to pubslush.com/discover, I'll put that here for you guys too. And if you go to the Successful Campaigns tab, there's all the successful campaigns that we've had on Pubslush, and you can also check out rewards that they've used to be successful. I hope that's the examples you're looking for. If you're looking for other examples, please let me know. Michelle asked, do you do campaigns for startup digital magazines? Absolutely. We're really looking to expand into our magazine projects and campaigns, and we're really excited about all the ideas we have to move forward in the magazine world. So yes, if you have any questions more specifically about digital magazines, we could definitely talk further about that. Mark said, my book is currently being designed and should be ready to be published in September. How far in advance of printing would you recommend starting a Pubslush campaign? It's a great question, and I'm sorry I didn't cover this in my presentation. We usually recommend to use Pubslush anywhere between 30 to 60 days before pub date. So if you're having a September launch date, I would say possibly using Pubslush pretty soon, maybe in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Again, consider this a pre-order tool for your book. So it's a great way to really test the market. We also offer a feature called the Launchpad. The Launchpad is for authors that have a book coming out, let's say in September, and they want to start doing the marketing, but you don't want to do the pre-orders just yet. The page, it looks exactly the same as your crowdfunding page. However, it doesn't say support now. It just says I'm interested, and then you become a fan of the project. So you could get 100 fans before you even start the pre-orders, and then you get access to all of that data, so you know how many people are even interested before going into it. And the Launchpad is completely free. Judy asked, what are the mechanics of how the readers make a pledge or give funds? Is the live page linked to a bank account? As long as a reader has a major credit card, they can give a pledge or funds to a author. It goes through a trusted third-party credit card processing system. We use Stripe. It's one of the best in the world. Pubslush never sees any reader's credit card info. It's completely trusted through them, but they just need to have a major credit card. Judy also asked, what are the reporting requirements? Judy, would you be able just to explain a little bit more of which reporting requirements? I'm just not clear on that question. Avery wants to know, what type of reward seems to be the most beneficial for children's books? I just love children's books. I think you can be super creative with that. We've seen something so simple as, a thank you note, and we'll mail you a few bookmarks, to something as great as an author being able to do a visit in the classroom and read to the students for, a cost, and then they market that to a school district or a private school or a church, a library, things along that matter. Of course, like I mentioned before, swag is always cute with children's books. I've seen a book that had characters that she turned into stuffed animals, and she partnered those together. You could do something where something, as I said, so simple as a bookmark, but you could also do signed copies. You could also do a bigger package where not only do you read the students in the classroom, but they can actually, you could give the book to the classroom afterward, and it'll be a classroom copy. But there's other great ideas that we could definitely come up with, but we've seen some great rewards so far for children's books, and this is a great way to be creative. Debbie said, you set a minimum and maximum goal. As long as you reach the min goal, do you get the funds beyond that, even if you don't meet the max goal? Yes. Absolutely. You need to meet your minimum goal to receive the funds, and the percentage that Pubslush receives is 4% always. So it doesn't change whether you make your minimum or your maximum. It stays the same. But you need to hit that minimum goal to receive the funds. Judy, how often should we send out emails to our target market? Great question. You don't want to bombard your target market with emails, once a day or once a week. You want to be strategic. So you want, like I said before, if you're sending an email on behalf of your author and they just launched today on Pubslush, that probably wouldn't be the best time because they probably don't have any money yet. You want them to be able to have, 24 hours, even 48 hours to get that buzz and momentum going for their book before you blast out an email. I usually think one in the beginning, one in the middle, and then 2 to maybe 3 towards the end. Countdowns are usually great. You have only 24 hours left, something along those lines, and then maybe when you hit the 12-hour mark, you send out one more. You don't want to send out too much. You want to be, conservative with, your email threads, and you want to make sure that people don't unsubscribe if they're not interested. So you want to make sure that you are being a bit careful there. But I think that sending out emails that are deliberate and targeted are great. Judy also asked, can we send a voice recording to readers to create a more personal invite to help support our book? I haven't heard that idea, but I love it. Yes, I think that's an amazing idea. I think also you can get the author to create a 1-minute, 30-second video about their project. That's also a great thing that you can send out. And there's great tips and advice we can give you guys about videos as well. But being able to show that passion for the project, being able to have a voice and a person to the name does really hit home. And there are some great videos. And don't fear videos in that you have to hire someone and it's going to cost you, $1,000. I've seen some authors do videos right in front of their own PCs. I've seen authors do videos right on their iPhones that were compelling, that brought me to tears. So as long as your message is clear, the quality isn't as important. I mean, of course, you want good audio and good visual, but you want to make sure that the message is the strongest part. But I think that's a great idea, Judy. I would love to help you with that. That sounds very exciting. Debbie says, can I use my previous book as a reward? I'm working to publish my second children's book in a couple of months. Absolutely, Debbie. That is a great idea. We always encourage all of our authors to, if this is a second or a third book, to, of course, because you're crowdfunding for the second book, make sure that's your target. So maybe you're going to do an e-copy of the second book and you're going to do a print copy of the second book. You can also couple the books together. So for, maybe for $20 they get the first book, but for, $35 they get both books. So now you're not only targeting readers that have read you in the past, but also new readers that haven't read your previous book. So we love when you partner a previous book with a new book. And there's also people that might love your book and buy it again to give to someone else. So exactly know who your target audience is, but it doesn't hurt to have a great reward that includes a previous book. Judy mentioned, in crowdfunding, is email primary media, or what is the most used media used to reach your readers? Email is definitely a strong one, but we've definitely seen some other great resources. Angela Miller, Mother of All Mothers, she didn't even have a Twitter. She actually created a Twitter 2 weeks ago, and her book crowdfunded with us in October. But she had a really strong Facebook group presence, so she really used that to get her messages out there. We've seen other authors, of course, use Twitter really specifically and targeted outreach in that way. I always say the best thing also is, I always say link it. Link everywhere. Put it in your signature, put it in your Twitter bio, put it in your LinkedIn profile, put it in your Facebook profile. Wherever people can get the information, you want it to be as visible as possible. And then it's also really great for Google. So when people search your name or your book title, all of your social media outlets will pop up because your link is in there. But, of course, like I said before, you can really be as creative as possible here, Judy, with how you get your messages out. We've seen people that have actually gone to libraries and sit and talk to people and educated them on their book and got orders that way. One of our authors, when we had our first prep call for her before she launched her campaign, she said to us, my goal is to tell one new person about my book every single day. And she walked around with business cards that she made that had her Pubslush URL on it. And because that Pubslush URL is yours for life and your book stays live and active there for life and the buy button comes there when the book is done crowdfunding, it was a great thing to have because she met a person. The person saw her passion. They saw how excited she was and how really she believed in her book. And, some people took that card and donated. Some people didn't, but it was a great goal for her to set for herself. Renee asks, does Pubslush as a business provide a 1099 miscellaneous at year-end for the income earned? This is a really case-by-case basis. If you're a publisher and that's something that you require, we can. It is the money that you are earning here is technically income, but also this is something that we address with our accountant, but also you can address with your accountant on how they want you to file it. It's always a case-by-case basis. Debbie said, this is what I was planning to offer, new book and the previous book. Thank you. Oh, great. Yay, Debbie, great. Is there any other questions out there that I can answer? For anyone, we've finished the ones that are in the chat box, but I definitely think there's probably anything else we need to cover. Molly, do you have any questions?
No, I think that the members have asked some really great questions. Those were all fantastic, and thanks for providing such great answers. So if you guys have any other questions, we have a few more minutes with Amanda. If you have anything else you want to ask her.
I'm just going to put my email in here again. Please feel free to, if you guys have any, you leave the webinar and you have any other questions, please feel free to email me directly, or you can email our general box also with some questions. And I'm also going to put if you guys want to check out and learn more about the publisher pages I mentioned, you can use that link, pubslush.com/publishers. That will give you more information and to learn more about what the publisher program can offer you and your business, but we can also offer your authors specifically.
Perfect. I think if you go to the very last slide, I think your email is on that one too. And then mine is there too, guys, if you have any questions about the webinar. Judy said that her book is Solving the Future by Ruby and Gray. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope you gained some beneficial information. Pubslush is amazing. It's an amazing service, and I know so many IBPA members can benefit from it and hopefully will benefit from it. So thank you, Amanda. That was fantastic. And it looks like we have one more question.
Okay, let me just go back to that. Avery said, can other books I publish be on the publisher page that haven't been through Pubslush? Right now, today, no. We'll be adding a feature similar to what you're speaking of in the new year in 2015. And that feature will allow authors to post books to their account that they previously published, and those books will only be viewed in the books for sale area. They won't be in our successful campaigns area. So to answer your question, no, not right now, but it is a feature that we've thought about very, very much so, and we'll be adding in the future. Michael asked if I don't reach my minimum, do we owe a fee? Absolutely not. Pubslush is a completely risk-free opportunity for you to test the market for an upcoming book. So like I said, if you don't make your minimum, say you make $250, no one gets charged. The money is returned to them, and you don't get charged either. There's no fee for you. That's a great question, though, Michael. Thank you.
All right, so any other last-minute questions, guys, submit them into the chat box. And you can always email either of us after this to ask us questions as well. Where will we find the link for these webinar slides? I'll be sending out a recording of today's webinar in the days, hopefully by the end of the week, hopefully tomorrow. And it will be both the audio and visual portion of today's webinar. And then if you guys want a PDF version of the webinar, you can reach out to me personally and I can get that to you. Amanda, did you mention a web address, Pubslush/successful?
I mentioned, if you want to see successful campaigns, you would go to pubslush.com/discover. I'm sending that to you guys. And then once you're on the Discover page, there's a lot of our live and active campaigns right when you land. But on the left-hand column, there's an area that says successful campaigns. And so you can check it out there. It's on the Discover page.
Perfect. Amanda, when did you found Pubslush? What year?
We founded Pubslush with this model in 2012. My mom and I started it really motivated. Everyone always asks us, why Pubslush? It sounds like you're about to go to a pub or something. I get so many different things. Essentially, the meaning behind the name, which might be interesting to some of you, is we were really motivated by authors that were best-selling authors that had originally started in the slush pile. They got rejected time and time again, and then their books, when they were finally discovered and published, they, sold millions of copies. Their books were turned into major motion pictures. I mean, someone so famous as J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter was rejected, over 12 times, and that book sat in the slush pile. So we really wanted to take books and out of the slush pile, bring them online, and let them prove that they have a market and let them prove that they have a reader base so publishers can take notice. I've met so many authors that waste years of their lives going towards a traditional publisher and never getting noticed. So this is a great way for you to get discovered. And we've had actually a few of our authors already, we're only really in year 2 here, get picked up by traditional houses, also get picked up by hybrid self-publishers, indie publishers that are interested because they're creating such a momentum on Pubslush. We've had over 100 successful campaigns, meaning they've made over $500. If you want to check out all basically the amounts that they've raised, you can do so on the Successful tab as well. That showcases the amounts that they raised during their Pubslush campaigns.
Awesome. Such a great service. All right, well, if those are all the questions, then I just wanted to thank Amanda again very quickly for presenting for us today, and thank you to all the attendees. You'll be receiving a recording by the end of the week, and I'll also be sending you the Member Benefits Handbook that is updated and now has our member benefit with Pubslush, which is $50 off on a premium account with Pubslush. So thanks, everyone, for joining us, and I hope to see you in our next webinar.
Thanks so much, everyone.